And so for today's session, this is a very special meeting, community meeting, because we're all about empowerment. And our special guest today is someone who I highly admire. I highly admire. He leads our mastermind group inside Extreme Leadership with Steve Farber. And Dennis Doran is somebody I love as well and had really done business with and learned and grow with. He is from Georgia, and we're here to really support each other. So, Dennis, I invited Dennis to talk to you today and to co train, co lead this coaching and mentorship because he is a pro. He's an expert in leadership building with soft skills. And so, I'm going to let Dennis do most of the speaking because this is his expertise. Dennis also also likes to use the bank technology among other methodology that we're also supporting on. And with the bank technology, I'll also have him explain how he incorporates that in his coaching, in his consulting, and even in his own life, right? So Dennis, will you please, really honored to be with you. So please come on and, be brilliant. I know you're so brilliant and we're just really wanting to hear from you. Thank you for
Wow.
being with us.
Wow. I'm so brilliant.
You are.
Are there any questions? No.
Yes.
I also have a bit of a thick Irish sense of humor. Please forgive me for that. I will correct my geography just a little bit. I am in the state of Georgia, but I actually live in Savannah, Georgia. So down closer to the ocean. I can be on the ocean front in 35 minutes from my house. So that's where I live. I've been here for 5 years. Before that, I lived up near one of the craziest places in the United States, Washington, D.C. And lived there for many years and then moved to Georgia to slow down, play more golf, and only do the things that I love doing. And that's probably a good way for me to step in to share some thoughts with you for this little talk that Emmy invited me to deliver, which is coming to you through my mouth. But some of it will come from my brain, but most of it will come from my heart because that's the place that I live. I've been very, very heavily influenced in the last 10 to 12 years by a body of work of someone who I consider to be my mentor, a very close friend, and I think one of the leading voices in leadership. His name is Steve Farber. And a number of years ago, before I met him, I saw a book in an airport that I thought had an interesting title. And the title of the book was The Radical Leap. So I went over and I picked it up and I thumbed through it a little bit. And the typeface was large enough. The book was not thick. And so that was a perfect type of a read for me. So I learned about extreme leadership from beginning with that book and then my association with Steve. And now that association is, again, in excess of 10 years. I'm a certified facilitator in the Extreme Leadership Institute, and I'm also one of the coaches in the mastermind that the Institute launched this past year, 2021. And I think that, and again, Emmy, I don't have a prepared sequence of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually, as I think about who I am and what's important to me, I think part of what makes me authentic is that I don't plan, what I'm going to say to people when I interact with them. I try to listen. And I did that in listening to Emmy in terms of her setting her expectations for the thoughts I would share with you. I do have the benefit, obviously, of having been through the bank assessment and the training that follows that. And I find bank to be just a brilliant tool. It is a tool. And a lot of the work that I do over the last good number of years is working with individuals and with groups of individuals to help them improve what I refer to as their soft skills. In 2019, I published a book that was largely aimed at the construction industry, which is where I've spent a good part of my working life, probably over 30 years. And I recognize, and again, this is one of those things that I could say it about one industry, but it's true of all industries and really true of all human endeavors, whether they be charitable, community-based, or otherwise. And that is that, one of the things that we don't appreciate enough and focus enough on is the importance of understanding what our soft skills are defined in this way. I define soft skills as being the behaviors, the traits, the attributes of a person, a manifestation of their personal values. And so when I first got engaged with the Bank methodology, and we talk about values in describing each of the 4 letters in the Bank framework, I immediately gravitated towards that. It makes sense to me. It's something you can operationalize in your life if you choose to, and it's fairly easy to understand. Again, the simplicity of this, I'm only holding one of the 4 cards I have in front of me up, but the simplicity is incredibly powerful, because again, if you as an individual can gain a better understanding of yourself, that in my view and my experience is what enables you to have the opportunity to better understand other people, and to be able to build long and meaningful relationships with them. And that's important in business. It's also important in life in general. And then I would add one other thought to that: not only successful relationships, but also increased happiness. And the happiness extends to all parts of our life. And I found, and one of the folks I had the privilege of working with for the last year and helping her move through a project we describe as a Change the World project, is a woman who is a retired school teacher, who felt it was important to develop a curriculum, which she has done, to help teenagers learn how to self-lead, how to lead themselves. And essential to leadership, whether you're trying to provide the inspiration and motivation for yourself to act and do and say things that are worthwhile, beneficial to those that you serve, and are intended to try to bring a relationship further along into becoming a significant part of the fabric of your day-to-day life. She calls it self-leadership. And one of the things that I've been amazed at in watching her is first of all, her courage, but then her immediate understanding that in order to help young people become better people, the first thing they needed to do was better understand themselves. And so the first part of her curriculum focuses on them learning things about themselves. Because again, as I think about myself, I was probably 50 years old before I could honestly say that I had some information, I'll even raise it to a little bit higher level, some data that I could use in order to help me understand myself better, and also help me understand how other people viewed me through my words and my actions in the context of what I did to make a living, to be a member of society, et cetera, et cetera. And I found that when people understand themselves well and honestly, that provides them the ability to do what they need to do in order to be successful in building relationships. And every one of us on the screen needs, in order to be successful and happy, needs relationships. We don't live in these individual cells on the screen. We don't live in a vacuum. We live in communities, and being a meaningful and contributing part of that community starts with understanding what values that constitute who you are as a person, and that you then have the ability and the opportunity to be able to use your skills to communicate what your values are, and also to allow your values to be manifest in the actions and behaviors that you conduct your day-to-day life and operations with. So I think, in terms of just my random thoughts, try to coalesce them a little bit into something that's meaningful. I believe that what we do let's focus on our business, what we do in our business and filling a role, whether it's a marketing manager, an accountant, a production manager, a receptionist, whatever the job or role is, there are skills that are required to be able to do that job. And that kind of just gets you on the payroll, so to speak. I'll use that phrase. But what enables you to be able to be as successful as you possibly can be in fulfilling that role is a recognition of and an understanding of what your soft skills are, what your qualities are, so that you can leverage them. So that if you understand them and you can name them, and you name the values that are important to you that makes you a person who is a nurturer, then you can use that information about yourself that you incorporate into who you are as people see you. And that's going to help you better understand them. So if you're dealing with someone who's a knowledge person using the bank terminology, you understand what their values are, but you also understand what yours are and how you need to recognize both in order to be successful in building that relationship, or to put it in a simpler, more dramatic sense, to get that sale. Which again, people who are in the sales business, I do not consider myself a salesperson. I never have, although one would argue that I've been selling ideas for decades. But in terms of the transactional aspects of it, and the idea of setting goals and meeting quotas and closing the deal and all that strong, dynamic, and very, very active and fast-paced activity that is the sales process, understanding yourself and the people you're doing business with is absolutely essential. If you make an assumption about someone else because you haven't taken the time to get to know enough about them to understand them, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to fail in your endeavor. And some people think, well, Dennis, I get what you're saying. I understand that. But I don't have time for that. Well, so then I got to pick up all 4 of these cards. Say, listen, take these 4 cards and work with these for a few minutes, and then let's talk. And inevitably, what you find out, I think it's almost I hate to use this word because I'm more a spiritually based person, how I live my life, but I almost refer to these as kind of like magic or tarot cards. There's a magic about this. I see Shiloh's got a nice, very, very pleasant smile. There's something magical. Kathy, you love me saying this, don't you? Because since you're on the staff there, you just love me saying this. I could be a pitch person for the Champions Institute, But look, I sold Emmy. Look at Emmy. What do you look at me like? That's better. You have to smile, Em. You have to smile. There it is. There's the smile. Again, I think that that everything that I do in my work starts with this premise, and that is that I do what I love in the service of people who love what I do. That's my mantra, and it comes from Steve Farber. And I think I defy anybody to say, well, it's interesting, Dennis, but I don't think I can subscribe to that idea. Well, in my view, every business endeavor serves people. You may deliver a product, you may drop ship something, you may create or manufacture something, but the essence of us being able to meet our customers' needs is to provide them service, is to serve them. And if we serve them and we do it in an unselfish manner, we do it with good self-understanding as well as taking the time to understand them, who they are and what they need, we're going to have a successful relationship with them because they're going to love what we're doing. And I can't think of a better capstone for a lot of what I do than to go back and recite that notion of doing what you love in the service of people who love what you do. That's a thought that comes from the heart. And that's why another part of Steve's body of work, he introduces the acronym LEAP, which stands for love, energy, audacity, and proof. So the thing that starts the fire, that creates the opportunities for us to build successful and joyful relationships in our life is love. And I believe that with every fiber of my being. I see it in how my life has progressed, particularly over the last 10 or so years. It's been a wonderful period of time for me. I've enjoyed some good success, and I've enjoyed some great success in building friendships, which are even a more significant and substantial opportunity for relationships. But I've also done okay in business. I've done well enough because as I enter into opportunities, my first thought is not how much money am I going to make if I do this? What am I going to get out of this? My first thought is, what is the opportunity? Does it fit my mantra? And if it does, it's something that I can invest my time, my energy, and my soul in order to bring a good experience to the people I interact with. So that's a bunch of my thoughts, Emmy. Unprepared, unhinged. Oh, well, that's not a good word to use, unhinged. But just a stream of consciousness, and hopefully I brought it to you in a manner that's been helpful to your interests and where you are in your journeys.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Dennis. And what I do want our community to know and learn is actually like where the soft skill really comes in, right? And you just really explained it, because I'm pretty sure there are some of us here on this call that don't even are familiar with the word soft skills. And this is really where how you exercise, how you're so successful doing consulting, with the companies you consult with. And you are also thrive in a very specialized, let's just say a business realm. Like this is really your market. You are super successful, and I'm just really really amazed at who you are. So, Dennis, do you would you mind, like, I just want to open this up to everybody. Do you have any questions for Dennis? And is there anything else you want to actually give us words of wisdom today, Dennis, on how to really like dwell well in these times and what we're doing? I will have to say that the people on this call are the ones that are really doing more, they're doing very well in these times, and I'm proud of that. So do you have any nuggets for all of us?
Well, I think I think if anything, you notice that I spoke very much about the bank methodology because I believe it's a valuable tool and a very valid source of when I'm teaching people things like project management and construction. The first topic in my 2-day program is it has to do with their behavioral assessment, understanding themselves, because I think that is just absolutely fundamental, and it doesn't matter what stage or what part of your journey you're in life. You can learn more about yourself right up until the time you take your last breath. You can change right up until that moment. You can improve. You can learn more things. You can experience different things right up until you take your last breath. All you have to do is have a mind towards saying, that's something I want to do, and I'll commit the time and energy to do it. So when I think about bank or other assessments, I represent those two, the folks that I deal with in my classes that I teach around North America, mostly in the construction industry. I say to these folks, this is a set of facts about you. This is not just some hocus pocus kind of magic card trick. These words are descriptive. These words put in play the opportunity to use an understanding of what it means, to have this particular bank code. What does it mean to me in terms of how I view myself and how others view me? And again, going back to your thought about me talking about soft skills, again, the way I define what soft skills are, some people, when you hear the word soft skills, they think it means communication skills, or they think it means people skills. And the answer is it does, and it does. But when we talk about soft skills, the most important part of that is, again, that we all possess qualities. And those qualities are exposed and visible to other people in the words and actions that we take each and every day. So we are always communicating to others, both in words and actions, who we are. And so when I talk about the use of soft skills, this idea of behaviors, attributes, a manifestation of your values, I think to me, the most important thing to remember is it's not necessarily enough just to do the job. It's how you do the job, and the how refers to you using your qualities in order to be able to present the most positive, friendly, interested person you can in every situation where you're serving someone else. And again, we're all in service businesses, period, hard stop. Again, there's no exception to that. And we're also, and again, they refer to soft skills as people skills. Well, yeah, in the sense that your qualities are what gives you the opportunity to be able to develop relationships with other people. And so again, it's just so many ways to cut this, but it just comes back to the most basic set of thoughts. And that is, what your skills and abilities are, and your knowledge, that's what gets you the opportunity to be able to serve someone else, to have a job, to run a business, whatever it may be, to volunteer in a charitable organization and fill a role there. It then is your soft skills, your qualities, that are what allows you to present the most positive person you can, and to be of service, to do something through your words and your actions that is helpful to other people. And again, that's to get a bottom line. You got to start at the top line. And you don't get business unless you build relationships, period. Hard stop.